Hey everybody, so I decided to film my max effort bench press session for you guys today in my new gym because my session yesterday went terrible and I decided to make the best of this one. I could squat great, but my deadlifts went to shit. So up first, what I did here, a lot of guys are asking me what I do to warm up our rotator cuffs with bands, and this is just some examples of what I do. I did some additional stuff, the same stuff also, but I'm just showing you guys a couple of different things that I do to warm my rotator cuffs up with bands. And yeah, it looks difficult, but I'm having a little elbow bend there because I'm using a fairly heavy band. That is a red band. That's not a light band at all. So it's fairly hard to do. But this is pretty much what I do, and then I'll turn to the side in a minute so that you guys can see what I'm actually doing from the side also. Okay, this is just a warm-up set. And so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing without the plates in the way. You can get a better idea of what I do. You'll notice even on my warm-up sets I set up tight, nothing but my traps and my glutes are touching the floor on these. And I always pause on floor press. You never ever let yourself drop and try to retouch and go on floor press. I don't recommend it. You can injure yourself. And it really kind of defeats the purpose of doing the movement. So I always like to do them with a pause. Still warming up here. I did try to go for a PR today because I successfully hit my previous PR from when I was bulking and it felt fairly light, but another 5 kilos added, it turned into a disaster. You guys will see the fail in a minute. And that's something I do on my channel. When I record workouts, if I record a session and I fail a lift or I fail a PR or even fail a max, I show you guys so you guys can see it and you can kind of look at it and break down what went wrong with a lift because you learn from your failures. And you can learn from other people's failures also. You can always find the weak links in their technique or the weak muscles by just observing what's going on. Because my current PR with no chains at all is 140 kilos on the strict floor press, and then I've done 145 with chains, and so today I tried to go with a total of 150 with the chains and it failed. So again, we're getting moderately heavy here, but it's not too bad. I could probably have done that for 10 reps, so we're still obviously warming up. Alright, here we're starting to get fairly heavy for me at this point, but the set felt really good. It obviously wasn't near failure. I managed to squeeze out 2 reps, and I'm getting really tight on my setup now, trying to keep the traps dug in really hard, keeping it arch, and you'll notice that for me, the bar actually touches my chest on the floor press, just because of my back and chest development. It's actually a full range of motion movement. So again, the bar speed's really good here, so I just keep ramping. The second one, it's a little hard to lock it at the top. Okay, this was my previous best when I was weighing about 240 pounds. And I managed to hit that being over 20 pounds lighter now on my cut, so I'm happy with that because my strength has actually come to a complete halt. I'm not making any progress now cutting, but that's fine because if I can maintain strength, my milk score improves and I improve as a powerlifter. But I was really happy with this rep. It felt good. It went up fast. I felt like it was no more than 90%. But when I go to the next set, I find out I'm wrong. Here I spend a lot of time getting set up, trying to get myself psyched up. And you'll notice when I go to lift this, when it stalls, I lift my ass up off the ground, which is on a regular bench is obviously a technique violation, but it also, you lose your drive. And a lot of people don't realize that. If you're set up correctly and your ass does break off the bench or the floor, depending on how you're doing it, it will actually reduce your bar speed. And so you can lose power, so it will actually cause you to fail. And because when it got heavy and I started grinding, you'll notice here, my ass comes up. Now you notice it comes down good. I have good control. I go to explode and it stalls almost immediately off the chest, which seems to be a delt weakness for me. But because of that, I've started doing overhead pressing 3 times a week because I realize that my delts are the weak link in my bench right now, particularly my raw bench, not necessarily my equipped bench, but my triceps are probably more of a weakness on my equipped. So I still do tons and tons of close grip pressing. And that was just a warm up. I didn't go as heavy as I might do on these sometimes because I was feeling a bit fatigued from the failed reps, so I didn't go past 120, but I've done 130 on close grip for a triple before, not that long ago. Now you notice I'm doing these on a slight decline, and that's to remove my delts because I feel like my delts failed, and a decline angle on a close grip will remove some of the emphasis from the anterior delt and put more of it onto the tricep so that I can work the muscles that are just stronger right now, and I'll finish my delts off tonight. So I do another set here, and it's pretty much the same thing. This didn't feel overly heavy. I could have gone heavier, but I don't want to burn myself out on accessory work. particularly after having missed a PR attempt like that. It's just not a good idea. So I just kept it moderately heavy, but not right there at the bleeding edge. And then after this, I go ahead and I like to do the NFL combine test sometimes on both my close grip and my wide grip. I'm up to 20 reps on the wide grip, and I generally don't get more than 12 to 15 on the close grip. But I ended up getting 12 coming up next with just 100 kilos, which I'm pretty happy with after a relatively heavy session where I missed a lift to still get 12 on my close grip on this. I'm still happy with that. And it's, again, this is just to induce a little bit of metabolic fatigue, and a lot of people don't seem to understand that most of the benefits of high rep training as far as the metabolic fatigue can be done at the end of a heavy session or a power session for one set, as long as it's taken close to failure and you're previously exhausted from the heavy work. This will actually give you the benefits you would get from doing high rep training in general, just in terms of the metabolic fatigue. So you don't need to come in and do 5 sets of ultra high rep work on a big compound. One finishing set will get it done. And that's pretty much the end of the session. I'll come back tonight and do overhead press, pause bench for technique, and then a bunch of weighted chin-ups maybe.